One vehicle we don't look to anymore and really has fallen by the wayside has to be the minivan. The really go-to choice has to be a 3-row SUV, and that's what we have behind me. Hey, welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Robertson. Now, what behind me takes it up to the next level? It is the 2016 Infiniti QX60, and it comes in all-wheel drive. What I like about the QX60 is it's pretty much straightforward when it comes to design, but the sport really all comes together here at the back end. And where you notice that is with the rear built-in spoiler and this kind of curvaceousness that's built in with the accents and the back hatch. Now, as you sweep down, it's going to be somewhat straightforward. I do like the fact that instead of it being a straight sheet metal all the way down, we do put a little bit of a ridge down the middle. Now, as for accents, you're pretty much going to see bright chrome all the way around, even down low, with the kind of lower black fascia. But overall, the biggest thing about this vehicle is the size and the ability, again, to squeeze 3 rows. Looking at the 4 corners, again, this version is the all-wheel drive. Now, what we see here is 18-inch standard wheels. Now, if you want to upgrade, you can go to a 20-inch version. Now, I like the fact that we go with kind of a darkened look here. Really what you're going to see on the big boy trucks, the darkened alloy versus a lot of chrome, which you already have on the vehicle. Now, even though this is an all-wheel drive, it's not technically a really off-road beast, and that's because of ground clearance. What you're going to see here is around about 6.5 inches. That versus really an off-road vehicle really creeping up to the 8 and 9 inches. So really what this is going to be great for is all-season weather and pretty much sticking to the pavement. Like we've seen on a lot of Infinitis, the side may be a little bit of plain Jane, but really what's front and center is the grille warfare, and that's exactly what you see here on the QX60. The whole front end really protruding forward, nosing into traffic, and just the various niches and crevices, and a lot of sculpting. Really front and center is this right through here. The darkened honeycomb kind of grille, the chrome all the way around, really double arching. And as you look around, a lot of lower fascia and body color. Now, I like the fact that while we're up here, a lot of safety built in. Now, we're used to a backup camera, but how about a forward camera? That's going to give you that tight look when you get into tight spots. Even better is the front sensors. Now, those are really radar-like and really allow you to get within millimeters of anything in the way, especially in tight spots in parking garages and such. Sometimes it comes down to the smallest details right here. The fog light's nice tucked down low and the nice sculpting of the headlight assembly. Now with all this combined, again, it makes for a nice menacing front end. If you own this vehicle, it's highly unlikely you'll pop the hood and work on it yourself, but just in case you do, one thing to note, the hood doesn't raise very high. The engine kind of tucked down low. Now what you're going to see here is a 3.5 liter V6 engine. That's going to deliver around about 265 horses and 248 foot-pounds of torque. Now I found that to be just enough power to get this going down the road. Now this vehicle does come in front-wheel drive or the as-tested all-wheel drive coupled with an automatic transmission. When it comes to luxury, one place you want it really is at your fingertips when it comes to ingress. Now what this vehicle does is really has a smart key. You go to the driver's door, you press the button, press it again, it unlocks everything. What I prefer is really to go to any door handle, it knows I'm here, unlocks the vehicle with ease. That's one feature kind of missing here. What I really like is security when it comes to fill up. Now this doesn't have the old pull handle for unlocking this. Instead, it relates to the vehicle when it's locked. Now when it's locked, no getting in here. Instead, you simply unlock it. This is going to pop right open. Now what you're also going to notice is a little bit of old school. Most vehicles are going to a capless system. This is the old twist off. Swinging around to the business end of the QX60, this is where you're going to deliver the cargo with the people. Now compared to the front with all that sport, we have just a little bit less back here, really with the rear spoiler, the shark fin antenna, matching chrome accents, but I like the fact that we have body color all the way around. Really no gaudy plastic except of course down there in the middle. Now when it comes to safety, they deliver it back here. Backup camera, backup sensors. Now don't forget, this has the 360 view, pretty much putting cameras on those mirrors so you can easily get into those tight spots. Now when it comes to the cargo, first thing really is the rear hatch. I like the fact that we have a power version here. Now one thing to note, it does take a little bit of time to get up out of the way. Now once that's up, what you're going to notice is a decent cargo behind the third row, around about 16 cubic feet. Now when the second row is in place and you lay the third row, that's going to be around about 40 cubic feet. With all the seating laid flat, around about 76. What does all that mean? Well, tons of room and tons of cargo options. Diving in a little bit closer, let's talk about the operation back here. First thing really is the 50-50 split third row. That makes life a lot easier. Also, what you're going to notice is the headrests that tumble forward with ease when you don't need them, because that's going to give you a blind spot when they're in position. Now, to fold this real easy, tumbles forward, that's going to give you a lot of options when it comes to cargo, people, cargo, whatever you want. Even better, the comfort back there, you're going to have 4 cup holders across the back for the back occupants. Now, for this little floor back here, what you're going to notice is some added storage. Open this right up, nice deep area. Now, I'd hate to say you could turn this into a cooler, especially because you have the Bose subwoofer here, but it does allow for you to leave things in here all the time. Now, one thing to note about this back here, with this carpet, this is going to pick up obviously what you see here, some dirt and grime. What I like is maybe a protector here to put over it to really prevent cleanup. Now, last thing to talk about is with the storage there, you don't see a full-size spare, but actually it's up underneath the vehicle. By the numbers, the QX60 comes in quite lengthy, around about 196 inches overall, wheelbase 114. Now 196 is really creeping way above the midsize, just short of really full-size vehicles, but really on the inside, I've noticed great numbers. Now, one thing to talk about really is the height. Now, where you're going to notice that is really when you put things up here. Now, I like the fact that this comes with roof rails. Most of the time, these are extra options. Now, one thing to note, these are not movable. They're fixed in place. Not a bad deal. They are spaced nice and evenly. Put some things up there, especially on long trips. Once you climb inside an Infiniti, this is where they almost are all created equal, and heck, you forget what you're driving. This feeling a lot more like a sedan than a full-size SUV. Now, what I like is really the legroom numbers. Now, what you're going to find up front is a little bit over 41 inches. The second row only dropping by about an inch. Now, the third row, to be expected, around about 30 inches. But I like the fact that our second row, I'll show you in a minute, slides forward, really giving a lot of added space to that third row. When it comes to Infiniti, you definitely want luxury right where you're seated, and that's what you see here. Nice leather appointments, and also these stylized captain chairs up front. Now, I like the fact they're not too enveloping, meaning pretty much any body type can sit with ease. Now, for the front driver and passenger, they are power adjustments, with the driver adding lumbar support and 2 memory settings. When you look at the design on the QX60, what I like is the fact there's not a lot of contrast or the old school wood grain accents. What we see here is more of a graphite-like accent with a dark dash, really going nicely with all the chrome features and the buttons on the dash. Now, as you sweep down to the gear shifter, the same accents continue on. Nice covered cup holders, really regal design. If you want to forget what kind of vehicle you're in, really start with the dash, because what you see is pretty much across the board. Now, I like the fact we have a huge touchscreen up top. Now, again, we talked about it. It's kind of a stretch from the driver, so the likelihood of using the touchscreen, not so much. Now, when you sweep down, what you're going to see is the quadrants we talked about, really the climate controls across the top. Now, this did take a little bit of getting used to because the mode select is not up here. Instead, you're going to find it down here by the driver. Now, depending on features, you'll actually find the mode select for both driver and passenger. Now that we do have dual zones, and what you see is the climate is kind of positioned around the navigation, making it a little bit confusing. Now, what I do like is that we have push buttons up here for the fan speed. Some people prefer a knob, but that would just be too cumbersome through here. Way down low on the dash is going to be the buttons for the entertainment, and something I've said, and it really needs to be moved up on the vehicle. Now, we do have control knobs for the volume and tune select, and we do have presets all the way along, and of course the mode. Now, that's not a bad position considering you're sitting here on the shifter. You can simply select them, so that does make a little bit of sense when you look at that feature. When you're looking for connectivity or at the bare minimum charging, the only thing you're going to find right here in this niche is a power supply right here. No USB. The USB is actually positioned in the center console. Now, when you sweep through here, again, we have the nice covering for the dual cup holders, making everything nice and sleek, and the nice shifter here. Now, the shifter does have a sport feature, pretty much tap it to the left. Now, for an SUV like this, I pretty much keep it nice and simple. Now, when you get to the middle between the front occupants, what you're going to find is heated seats. Now, the other Infiniti we drove had heated and cooled, dialing in specific comfort. Obviously, for sport mode, you can dial that over, and the various settings to change the driving dynamics Luxury can only go so far, and it comes down to the gauges pretty much being straightforward with the good old analog tach and speedometer with a little bit of an LCD readout in between. Now again, what I always love is to have the speedometer in digital display there in the middle. Just not going to find it. Now here on the steering wheel, we do have cruise control settings and that radar-like mode, pretty much meaning when you're in traffic, it's going to sense vehicles around you. As they get out of the way, it'll speed back up. Way down low on the dash on most Infinitis, you're going to find some controls tucked out of the way. Now what you see here is a couple of blank spots for features it didn't come with. Now we do have the nice button for the power hatch. That way you can kind of let the kids throw their gear in the back before they climb inside. When you look at the second row, again, the first thing you'll notice is the amount of legroom. Tons of space back here, really delivering great comfort. Now, as for the seating, really a bench style seating, 60/40 and individualized attention on both sides. A little bit of hump right here through the middle. Now, we do have individual headrests for each occupant, even here in the middle, just the same. Now, what you're going to also notice is a nice center armrest. Now, it's nice and elevated, a little bit on the short side, but really most elbows are going to end up here. Dual cup holders, maybe a little area to rest some items. Now, when it comes to ingress in this vehicle, they've made it somewhat easy. And the way it works is there's a lever over here. Once you pull that, this is going to tumble forward, the seat bottom's going to come up. Then you can simply easily pull on it and slide it forward. Now, it's going to give you tons of ingress here into the back, making such an easier process to climb inside this vehicle. Now, once they're in place, simply flip it back, hold that, tumble it back. Now what you're going to notice also is the fact that you can have reclinability when it comes to the second row. Simply pull the lever, lean back, and now you've got a nice relaxation going on here. One added feature really is the back climate controls are really allowing the back passengers to really set their comfort. Now you also find some connectivity back here, allowing you to charge your devices, but no extra power supplies to note. Now it does for this edition row. We're on a test drive behind the wheel of the 2016 Infiniti QX60. Again, this delivers all-wheel drive, but not necessarily off-road prowess, but more or less sticking to the pavement, but does have the grip at the four corners. Now again, it delivers nice 3 rows of comfort and that luxury we like to talk about. Now with all that, you're going to have a little bit more money at the bank because it's going to take about $52,000 to climb inside. Now as always, thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior. Keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.